Good Journeys Tarot. This is Rosemary, and I am in Athens, Georgia today with Maria Strom, creator of the Hip Chick Tarot. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to be with you here in your studio. So you are an illustrator.
Yeah.
And what kind of projects did you work on before your dad?
Children's books mostly.
Okay.
So, but I've always wanted to do a tarot deck, so I'm glad that I got to do that.
Yeah. How long have you been interested in tarot?
I really got interested in it when I was like 15. And there was a tarot card reader downtown. I'm from Portland, Oregon. And I used to go to her all the time. I used to go to her so much that one time she said, you probably need to take a little break from coming to see me. But yeah, so I got interested in it, as a teenager.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So your deck is very feminine, and I understand that you did it this way for specific reasons. So tell us a little bit about your inspiration for creating the deck.
Well, it's a feminist deck, and I was teaching a class. I was living in San Francisco at the time, and I was teaching this class, and most of the people that came were women, and I just noticed that there were several cards in the deck that were really hard. We were all using Rider-Waite, because that's a really good beginner deck. Most people go to that. So, and like people like just the Hierophant, the women had a hard time with the Hierophant. They had a hard time relating to the Emperor, especially, and it just, that whole patriarchal, top-down kind of system, and most of the cards in a traditional deck are male. So I thought, well, I want to do some that, because I think each card has something to say that's really important, and I just wanted to have images that made it easier for women to relate to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So your deck comes with a companion guide, and in it you wrote a little letter, a message, as it were, and you described some of the meanings of some symbols that repeat throughout the deck, like, for example, owls symbolizing wisdom, flowers generally symbolizing beauty, and smiley faces, happiness, of course. That's wonderful. Yeah. And you also talked about some of the cards that you changed and what their meanings were, and we'll look at some of those when we look at your deck here. You had also in here you had put some information about growing spiritually using the cards, which I always enjoy. I find that is a great tool for personal development and spiritual growth.
Yeah.
You also, there's a great article in here about no bad cards and no bad feelings. So a very positive deck.
Yeah, and I want people to realize too, no bad feelings. It's just that whatever the feeling is, it's okay to have it. It's not means that there isn't any, that the deck doesn't come up with that you're having a hard time or something. That will come up if that's what's going on. But it's just that it's okay for that to be happening. It's okay to feel all of the feelings, is what the message is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have used several of the spreads that you have in your book. You do have the traditional Celtic cross in here. But you also had a relationship spread, which was helpful to me. I like the way you did yours. People tend to ask a lot of relationship questions. It's not my favorite thing to read about, but that spread was very useful to me.
Thanks.
And the other one, your 4-card project spread, was the one I used when I was trying to decide whether or not to start a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
I've been toying with it for a few years, and I couldn't get over having my face on the screen, so the start of it. So it was very helpful, and enjoyed that. So let's jump in and just look at some of your cards.
Cool.
Of course, there is our First Lady, the Fool, ready to start her journey.
Yeah.
So that's A Fool. Here's the Creator. Of course, that's the image that's on both the box and the book cover, which is traditionally the magician.
Right.
She's definitely in control of all four suits there.
Yeah.
So, beautiful card. So let's talk about Sacred Knowledge. This was one of the ones that you changed.
Yeah, so that was traditionally it's a Hierophant, and because this is a modern deck, we don't usually come across that word Hierophant too often. So Sacred Knowledge, I feel, is something easier for us to relate to, and I just included some symbols from different religious backgrounds, and I feel like it's really kind of we're living in this time where we have so much access to information through the internet that all of these traditions are available, and we can find stuff in all of them or one of them or whatever combination that really resonates with us.
Take what works for you and leave the rest alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So here's the Hermit, and so this is a little bit different take on the Hermit. Like usually you'll see the little lantern or something. She still has her light. She's kind of like cocooned there under the tree. Yeah, it's kind of this solitary space, and it's very earthy, and she's kind of underground, but there's she's the recipient of this knowledge that comes. The tree has a little owl, the wisdom. Yeah. Okay. So that. I just feel like that's a really important card spiritually to have that time alone and find out about yourself and your inner world. Mm-hmm. But that is one of the cards that I often will look at. It's actually come up a lot for me recently.
Oh, good.
So this is your Death card. Tell me what's going on here.
Well, I really, this card is a lot about the experience of death and the renewal that comes through that. I feel like spiritually we go through many deaths in our lives, and also there's the real one, the the physical death, and the Lotus sort of speaks to that process of death and the blooming again. So. Yeah, that's what's going on.
Okay. Right. And of course, this is our would normally be the Devil card. Right. It's called Bound.
I went with Bound because the Devil has a lot of connotations. I think especially for people that maybe grew up in Christian environments that were maybe a bit harsh. The devil is gonna whatever. And so I kind of wanted to let go of that, and just Bound is really about being tied up, about not being free to move and express yourself, and it's a symbol of, it can also be about, inner anxiety or, whatever that means for you in the situation.
Okay. So here's one of my favorite cards, the Tower. For me, the most important thing in a Tower card is that the lightning is there, because to me it just really gets that sudden, drastic change thing going on.
Right.
But yours is this woman just emerging from this chaos rather than falling out of the building, which I think is great.
Well, yeah, because in every deck, I love the Tower. I feel like the Tower has to me always been a positive card because it means like it's something that you need to let go of, and after that, whatever, you might have to go through some pain, but there's liberation that follows. And so I really wanted to include that sense of freedom that comes after an ego death or the breakup of a relationship that just doesn't work or whatever it is.
We definitely captured that.
Yeah.
And of course, here's the Star. This is another card I always have to look at in a deck before I buy it. Definitely captures that hopeful, healing feeling that I tend to associate with this card. And one of my followers also commented that they just love this card. This is one of their favorites. So let's talk about your suits a little bit.
Okay.
So this is the Ace of Think, which would normally be your sword card.
Yeah.
Okay. So definitely the concept of knowledge there that we have, at least in our society, the light bulb above your head.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an old-fashioned light bulb.
Yeah.
But yeah, the LED ones don't really have the same connotation if you draw this. But yeah, so it's about thoughts and the power of those for good or evil that come up, good or bad.
And you've got your yellow associated with it.
Yeah.
That's something that you did throughout your deck, correct?
Right. Yeah, so all of the suit will be yellow, and so that the idea is just when you scan it, that it gives you that hit right away. Like if I've got a lot of yellow, maybe it's a lot of mental energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the Ace of Create with a paintbrush, a red background.
Yeah, so that suit is all red for creating.
And then the Ace of Earth, which is a brown background.
Right.
And then this would typically be your pentacles.
Right.
And then your Ace of Feel, which is normally your cups.
Yeah.
Beautiful heart on a blue background. So
Yeah.
all of the things you associate there, emotions
Yeah.
and water. And
Yeah, I wanted to make that really simple.
So let's look at some of the cards within the suit. So this is one of my favorite cards.
Okay.
This is the Two of Feel. It's definitely a little different than a traditional card where you see two people in this typically, but definitely the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah, yeah. And I personally have never been pregnant, but you know, it's a condition that is, you know, that women have. So like, I wanted to have that represented in the deck. It's uniquely a female thing. So
yeah, absolutely. There's some that look fairly similar to traditional cards, like the Fourth Thing.
Right.
Got someone resting here.
Yeah. It's like really kind of a self-care card.
There's a little owl for wisdom. Wisdom can be obtained from rest.
Exactly. Yeah. Integration.
So here is some examples of the diversity in your deck. We've already seen the expectant mother. Here we have a woman in a hijab who is starting her journey or moving on from something anyway.
Yeah.
And then also the Eight of Earth. There is someone who has mastered their craft and doing in a wheelchair. Beautiful. So this is one of my favorite cards. I just love this card. Tell us about this.
Well, I mean, there is this sort of seven of swords. This is Seven of Think, but you know, it usually has that guy kind of sneaking away with his swords, and you know, the card to me really means either you're trying to get out of something, or something isn't quite right. You know, so either she's like skipping out on somebody, or she's leaving a situation that isn't good for her. So it's kind of depending on the situation, but it's that card has a few meanings.
Okay. Yeah. It's definitely beautiful portrayal of that card. So here's the Nine of Earth. And so this is a card that I normally will look at. In the traditional deck, there's a woman in a garden with a little bird on her shoulder, enjoying life. So this was a little bit different for me. So tell me about this card.
Yeah. So the Nine of Earth to me means really a life well lived. It's like that you're being. You know, this woman isn't rich like the other woman materially rich like the other woman in the Nine of Pentacles, but she's authentic. She's living a life that is rich internally, and she's made this that happen for herself, and so her world is in bloom. She's in a garden. She has a graduation cap on because she's sort of passed the tests of life. And she's happy.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's talk about your family cards.
Okay.
Okay, so typically we have court cards in the traditional deck. One of the questions that came up from one of my followers was, you know, do these typically correspond to court cards, or are they completely different?
Yeah, so roughly they do. You know, normally you would have a king, queen, knight, and page. In this one you have a queen, which is the highest, and then you have a boss, and then you have a teen and a child. And, you know, those sort of roughly, you know, are in line with the traditional, but there's a little spin on them. The queen is sort of the most spiritually evolved, and the bosses are really kind of taking care of business, you know, administrative kind of role. The teens are you know, really enthusiastic, but they might be a little bit impulsive. And the children are really the sort of core, creative, spontaneous, freshness of that suit.
And I pulled out the 4 cards from Create because someone actually wanted us to talk about the queen.
Okay.
So this is the child. There is our teen of Create. A little bit of motion going on there, kind of like in the night cards, you know, all the verses, you know.
Definitely.
So here's our boss of Create, and she's wearing a little button that says "Do It." You did that on several of the boss cards where they have a little button that kind of just epitomizes that card and what's going on with them.
Yeah, they're encouraging you to like take charge and do what needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay, and then this is the Queen of Create. One of my followers wanted you to tell us about this card and about this woman in particular.
Yeah, so she is, you know, that suit, you know, Create is just this really passionate energy that is just radiating from her. I mean, she's got all the colors of the rainbow radiating from her head, and she's got her paintbrush, and she's, you know, she's like a person that's, if she were a real person, the energy, you know, she would be fun, she would have all kinds of ideas, she'd be able to, you know, be sensitive to things, she would love to, you know, take care of her body. She would, you know, go running and then take a bubble bath. And she would be the kind of friend that would be really great to have. That's how I see her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then I pulled out some more of the boss cards just because I wanted to look at their little buttons. This Earth card has got this.
Yeah.
She's pretty much in control of her material world.
Right.
And then the boss of thing here, Can Do. She has the knowledge to make things happen.
Yeah.
Alright. And then here's the Queen of Thing. This card is typically what I might consider my significator card.
Oh, cool.
So basically the Queen of Swords. And tell us a little bit about her.
Well, I think she is really awesome because she has kind of been there and done that, you know, and she's like, she can see right through the bullshit. You know, it's like, you're not going to get anything past this woman, you know, and if this comes up, she's calling on you to take a look at things around you and call it like it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about her, why don't we give people an idea of what they can expect in your book for the different cards?
Okay.
And we will do that by reading about the Queen of Thing. Would you mind reading a little bit for us?
Okay, so the description is, the Queen of Think scrutinizes her world. Her crown indicates her stature and the light bulb symbolizes her intelligence. The meaning, this woman has a sharp mind that is informed through her feelings, so she usually accurately assesses the situation. She'll cut to the heart of the matter and articulate it in a take-no-prisoners fashion. When you pull this card, you may need to look deeper at events or people in your life, and you may need to speak your mind. Do you need to heal from betrayal or other disappointments? Queen of Think is telling you, you've got the power to turn pain into wisdom. Or you may need to examine your thoughts that you have about yourself and others. Are you being too harsh? you need to tune your inner dialogue to a less critical station?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and you have both spiritual and everyday practical
For the major
summaries in
arcana.
your
The
major arcana.
Yeah.
So, give people an idea. So there'll be a description, the spiritual application, and then the practical.
Yeah.
That's great. Love that. All right. So let's talk about the universe, which would normally be our world card. So.
Well, I love, the universe is just like, whether, the practical part of it is just like, you've gone through the experience, you've integrated all this knowledge. And the spiritual part is that she's really come to this place where she's not seeing things in good or bad anymore. She's gone beyond that, and she's just living and moving and flowing with what's going on. So she's just, got the hula hoop going, things are in motion, and she's in tune.
Okay. So she's a cosmic chick.
She is a cosmic
right?
chick, yeah.
All right. Well, and that's definitely like the fulfillment of the major arcana and kind of the before you start over again. And I think that's a great place to wrap our interview up. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your giving us a deck to give away at
Sure.
Tarot.
Yeah.
And that will be announced immediately following our interview.
Cool.
So, want to thank everyone who's watching us, and until the next time, good journeys. Again. Hello, everyone. It's Rosemary again, here to announce the winner of the Hip Chick Tarot giveaway brought to you by Maria Strom and Good Journeys Tarot. Congratulations to Instagram user Kira, Kiiira. Again, the winner of the Hip Chick Tarot by Maria Strom is Kira, Kiiira. Thank you so much to everyone who entered for the chance to win this wonderful deck. And congratulations again to our winner. Until next time, good journeys.